So, Vancouver City Council has a massive question on its hands, a $120 million question to be exact, and the answer could really change the city as we know it. The upcoming 2026 budget has kicked off one of the biggest debates we've seen in years, and it's a classic showdown, holding the line on taxes versus paying for the services we all rely on every day.
Now you hear 0% property tax increase, and you think, great, that's a win for me, right? But here's the real question we have to dig into. What's the hidden cost of that? Because as we're about to see, getting to zero, well, it comes with some pretty big trade-offs for everyone living in the city.
Okay, so to really get what this 0% plan means, we have to look at the starting line. City staff did the math, and just to keep services at the exact same level they are now, no upgrades, no improvements, just keeping the lights on, they figured they'd need a 6 to 7% tax hike. That's just the basic cost of running a city like Vancouver today.
Right, so with that pretty big hike on the table, the council told city staff to find another way. And that brings us to what's now being called the 0% plan.
To get from that 7% hike all the way down to zero, city departments were handed a massive task. Find $120 million. Just find it. And it had to be a mix of cutting costs and finding totally new ways to bring in money. So the big question is, if that money isn't coming from property taxes, where on earth is it coming from?
And this is something a lot of people don't realize. Check this out. Your property tax bill isn't just one thing. Only about 58% of it is actually from the city of Vancouver. The other 42%, that comes from other groups like the province and the region. So here's the kicker. Even if the city's portion goes up by 0%, your total bill can absolutely still go up.
So how are they planning to fill that $120 million hole? Well, the strategy is to tap into a bunch of other places. We're talking about things like increasing your utility fees, exploring new corporate sponsorships, advertising, maybe even selling naming rights to city assets. They're also looking at raising the fees you pay for city services, think community centers or swimming pools, and jacking up the fees for developers and permits.
Okay, but here's where the story gets tricky, because what one side is calling efficiencies, hundreds of residents and even some city councilors are calling something else entirely. They're calling them cuts.
You can really see the two completely different stories playing out here. The official line from the city talks about optimizing service delivery and maintaining frontline services. But then you have the public's view, which we heard loud and clear at City Hall, and it's a totally different story. People are worried about straight-up cuts to services, less funding for arts and culture, and the real-world impact on places they love, like their local parks and libraries.
So let's zoom out for a second and look at the whole pie. The city's total operating budget is almost 2.4 billion dollars. As you can see, the biggest slices go to public safety, that's your police and fire departments, and to engineering and utilities.
But here's the thing, the changes aren't being spread around evenly, not even close. This table really tells the story. The police department, they're getting an increase. Parks and Rec, a 1% bump, which, when you factor in inflation, is actually a cut in what they can buy. Arts and Culture is getting 0%. Meanwhile, the Department for Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability is facing a massive 14% reduction.
Yeah, this whole proposal, it did not stay quiet inside City Hall. It blew up, sparking a huge wave of public reaction.
Just look at that number. Over 600 people. That's a lot. They all signed up to speak at the council meeting. We're talking residents, union leaders, local business owners, community organizers, you name it. They were there to say what this budget would mean for them.
And the chair of the park board, Laura Christensen, she didn't mince words at all. She directly challenged the city's language, saying, look, you can call it finding efficiencies, but for us, an $11 million hit isn't an efficiency. It's a cut. Plain and simple.
Then you have the human side of things. A union rep for the city's workers came forward to talk about the real-world impact behind the numbers. They pointed out that every job cut is a person's livelihood gone, and it puts enormous pressure and stress on the workers who are left behind.
And, it wasn't just officials, it was everyday residents. This one story really paints a picture of what people are already dealing with. A resident talked about crumbling facilities, not being able to get her kids into swimming lessons, and even being turned away from story time at the library because it's just too full. The fear is this budget is only going to make all of that worse.
Now, to be fair, not everyone was against this plan. We have to hear the other side, right? There was definitely support for it. This business association, for example, argued that a 0% increase is actually a good thing.
They see it as necessary discipline to force the city to trim what they call a bloated bureaucracy and focus on core services like public safety.
So when you strip away all the numbers, all the percentages, what are we really talking about here? It all boils down to a much deeper, more fundamental question about what a city is actually for. This whole debate is really about two competing visions for Vancouver's future. And this is really the heart of it all. These are the trade-offs we're talking about, and there are no easy answers here. Do we prioritize holding the line on taxes, or do we prioritize keeping services strong? Do we put more money into policing, even if it means less for community and cultural programs? And who really wins with these choices? And who ends up paying the price when user fees go up?
And here's a fascinating twist in all this. The city's own survey data seems to point in a completely different direction. Before this whole plan came out, they asked the public, and 42% of residents said they would support a 5% tax increase just to maintain services. Only 10%, just 1 in 10, wanted the 0% option if it meant services would be reduced.
So you can see the spot the council is in now, right? They've got the budget plan that they asked for on one hand, and on the other, this massive, passionate, and pretty organized opposition from the very people they represent.
You know, at the end of the day, a city's budget isn't just a spreadsheet. It's a statement about its values. It's a mirror that reflects what and who a city truly cares about. As this whole thing plays out, the real question for Vancouver isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about what kind of city it actually wants to be.